Hi, welcome back. Bit of an update video, and we've got a project over here. You probably just see it that we need to get on with fairly urgently because it's an upgrade for the Transit. But I'm going to get you off there and go through some of the things we've been doing. And a few of these bits are for sale if anybody's interested, and I just need that to clear out. So I'll just get you off of there, and we'll go through a few things. The Fowler's done. I'll get you off there, and we'll go from there. Right, now on the Fowler here, you can see I've fitted the transfer. It's too big to go down the side. I always thought they went on the side somewhere, but they don't. This one goes down there. And also, I got from America a nice condenser with the right bracket that fits straight in the mag. It's got a little oiler pad on there to oil that. Let me focus it. I'm trying to do all on my own. And it ran beautifully. A brisk swing on the starting handle. It now fires straight up. No arcing on the points. No misfiring. It runs really well. Done about 3 hours running. And you know, on load, and it's fine. So it's now all drained down to go in the winter months, in the container rather. Just put it away. And we went shopping when we were on holiday earlier on in August. Bought this. This is a 3-horse CS diesel from a lovely couple. It's mum and daughter. Dad sadly passed away, and this trolley was all in bits, and the engine's obviously in bits. Unfortunately, the decompressor has been set too high, the valve lifter, which is that thing there. The valves hit the piston. You only need a very small gap. It snapped this off its thread and bent the valve, so there's got no compression at the moment, so that all needs sorting out. And these wheels at the back didn't fit the axle. I had to make some sleeves and press into the wheels and sort of put the chassis together. The steering axle at the front, I need to make a drawbar for it. It does steer, it just needs something to pull and turn. I'm got to fix the engine down. And the gent was obviously using what he had to get it all together and working. And I'm going to carry on with that. And it's sort of what I think he was doing rather than making a whole new chassis out of steel and all the rest of it. The other thing, we got this cooling tank is way too big. It will never get warm ever in a million years. We have the fuel tank for it. So I need to get it going first, and this will be available. I'm going to fix it and get it running, probably put a smaller cooling tank on it, and this will be available for someone to purchase. Over here, this is my 6-horse radiator converted. That's a mini radiator with a thermostat conversion as well, driving a saw bench. It used to have a generator under there as well, and it's designed that you take the axles off, you can bolt it down in a building. But my son decided it was better left like that, which is great if your Charles Atlas can move the thing around. It's a bit of a lump. But this is for sale as well. It runs really well. I rebuilt it probably 20 years ago. Complete overhaul. Though it doesn't look very pretty, it runs like a clock. So if anybody's interested in this 5-horse, well, it's a 6-horse if you speed it up by 50 RPM, but it's 5 horses as it stands, with a saw bench on that trolley, get in touch. I just don't use it anymore. We have no use for it, so there's no point keeping it. And behind that, you can probably just see that's a little Kymco. Remember, I did that engine on. Well, I've been whizzing it around the farm on the private tracks around here, and it's absolutely fine. Runs really well, so I need all of the bits for that. The other thing I've got here, this is a 1983 Japanese domestic market Honda TLR 125. Runs and rides. It's registered to me. All works perfectly. It's MOT and tax exempt. It needs the full hard chroming done and new seals, and rear shocks are leaking. Other than that, there's nothing wrong with it. It came painted primer. That is available. I think it's done 17,000 miles from new. I don't know whether everything gets dusty here if you don't cover it up. I've no idea what's going on with my camera, but it keeps turning itself off and break. God knows, technology drives you mad. Right. Now this here is a new toy, well, essential really, upgrade for the Transit. Picked it up. It doesn't have a valve chest with it, which is not a problem because I wanted to convert it to wireless radio control anyway. But later on today, I'm going to get the strips out. I need to get the rams off and the boom apart to see what the sliders are like. The pins and bushes feel very good, but I'm going to knock them out and see what they're like. Because no point putting it on the Transit with worn pins and bushes and sliders. I don't want to overhaul all that and then order up valve gear. I do have a pump for it. The valve, radio control valve assembly for this 3-service one is about £1,500. Now that electric pump doesn't run all the time. They only run when you engage one of the services, lift, turn, or up, or in and out. So I need to check with the supplier that has a facility on their radio gear to switch that solenoid off and on. Otherwise, it's available. It can be done. Just not sure whether they do it, and I need to do a bit of shopping around because £1,500, that smarts a bit. But considering this is 1999 and was on an old Mark V Transit, it's in really good nick, because normally they're in a terrible state by now and completely clapped out. And even that's got the plastic cover over the worm gear at the bottom, they're normally long gone. So quite pleased with that. So that's we're going to get set up in a minute, get my block and tackle sorted out, and we're going to whip that to bits this afternoon, so make some progress on that. And then the last bit, if the camera will keep recording. Unfortunately, due to the camera turning itself off for no reason whatsoever, and I don't notice it because I'm here dealing with this, you missed me taking all this to pieces. I thought it recorded it, but I'll go through with it where we're at, and it's pretty good, to be fair. I will be doing making some new bits for it, and I found out a few parts as well. Basically, all the pins are pretty good. Find one here. Yeah, I'll bring them up close so you can see. They're not worn, there's no real huge lips in them or anything. This thing hasn't done anything. There's a bit of rust. There's a plastic bush in each pivot point, and they're in really good order as well. So one of these I had to get a bit aggressive with to get it out, lack of grease. The others were better, but it came out. So I'm going to make some new pins, perhaps out of stainless, which will stop them corroding. Or I've got to make them at a slightly undersized, 20 microns undersized, and have them bright zinc plated. They still go rusty in the end. But that bit, there is a couple of holes, so I'll bring it over, it's just easier rather than moving the camera. This is the boom you slide out by hand. There's a manual slide and a hydraulic slide. This hole here is a bit wallowed out and needs welding up and redoing. That is the only one. And oh, hey, come here. On the back here, there are 4 pads on each. Let me get it in the camera here, plumb. This is the manual slide one. These haven't worn, they're 8mm thick. There's 2 here, and there's 2, if I get the other end, that you can probably see. There we go, there, that rub. They're actually fixed to the inside of the bit this slides in. So it slides on those. These are not worn at all, but the ones on the hydraulic bit that this sits in, are worn a couple of mil down, which again, I've seen them worn right through to the fixings, and they haven't. And the material they're made of, I had to write it down so I had to look it up, is UHMWPE, and you can't get it in black or clear, but it's designed for this. I think it's about 15 quid for a metre long length, the right width, to cut into pads. So not expensive to fix. And about the only other thing that was worn, if I can find it, here we go. Here we go, which needs to be replaced. On this pin, I don't know if the camera's picking it up, it's got a couple of grooves where it's rattling around in that wallowed out hole. And this pin and this one, which holds the hook, is the same. And amazingly, on this hook, the safety, which is on the back, press it to open, still works. That's a rarity. They're normally long gone, which again is all evidence that this thing hasn't done anything, which is great. The worm gear at the bottom for the rotator is in good order, well greased up. Let me get some of these pads for you. Just as the thrust bearing on it that needs replacing, because it's not greasable, which is a bit weird, but I'll get close up on that when we really get into it. But these are these pads. That's one of the top sliders that is on the bottom, and there's an insert, it'll focus, stupid thing, that's pressed in, so I can make new ones of these. And that's one of the, somebody's greased it, and these are meant to be dry slide booms and not have any grease on. So whether it was squeaking, but it's, if you dig the snot out, it's not gone down to the metal, and there's no gouging in any of the metal parts. So I just need to make new ones, and they're all 60mm wide. So I'll get a length, a metre long length of 8mm material, 60mm wide, and chop it up and counterbore a hole, drill a hole and counterbore it to suit those. That will fix that bit. So that's where we got to so far. And my cover that goes over the worm gear is busted, so I've got to come up with a repair, because at least with a crack in it I can get it off without having to take the column off. So I might do a repair piece which screws on, which enables me to get this apart. Let's have a think about it. But there is lots of dried up grease, so somebody did try to maintain it and didn't use it much, which is great. So the next job is jet wash everything into oblivion, basically. Degrease everything, which I will do. I'm not going to video that, there's no point. I'll get it all cleaned up. And then we need pins, the slider pads, and then test a hydraulic pump. And once we've got, hopefully the hydraulic pump's good, once we're at that point, we need a valve chest, and we can reassemble all this, get it working on the pallet. Obviously we can't lift anything because it's not attached to anything, but we can get it all working, and if the pump's at the right pressure, it should lift the correct weight. Then we can make the bracketry to put it on the back of the transit, and then we can get it tested. So that's the plan of attack. So we'll get rejigged once I've cleaned all this off, and go from there. One other thing while I remember, because I've got a terrible memory, I'll take this off here. I'll bring this one because it's lighter than the other one. This is the top slide ram that moves top slide in and out. Both rams have these blocks on, and this is an anti-burst block. If you don't have pressure on these pipes, i.e. you burst one, it locks the ram off so it can't go up or down or in or out, which stops your crane falling on your head, which is quite useful. So hopefully these still work. We'll find out the hard way, obviously, when we get to that point. So yeah, the next job is, let's have a damn good clear up and wash everything. And then we'll be back to start doing all the fixes on it. Been a bit busy, didn't video a lot of making all the parts for this. I just got on with it in the evenings when I had time, but I made all new pins. That's one of the 30mm diameter pins. I made them in 316 stainless. These are 20mm diameter pins for holding the boom, the manual boom, and the hook on. And I've also made, I've got the right material, and I've made the little slider pieces. I've got to chamfer some of the edges on here as per the originals as I assemble it. I've also put new thrust bearings in here, and also made a bearing cap on that bearing that was exposed because the original plastic cover was long gone. It's now got a greasable cap with a little blowhole on it, so if water does get in, it can get out, but it shouldn't do because it's packed with grease. And I've also made a new cover. It's in 4 pieces that bolts on and covers all the worm gear, which I'm about to fit. I was going to make it out of alley because obviously alley doesn't rust, but I didn't have enough kicking around, and I had plenty of 1.2 mile steel kicking around. So once I scrap it was, so once I made it all the bits, I shot blasted it and painted it, etch primed and painted it. That hole there is so you can put a grease gun in. It sits like that, and grease the worm gear. I've absolutely plastered all the mechanism with grease. Probably overdone it, but it'll sort itself out once it gets going. I'm probably going to have to take the rotator motor off to put that bolt that's right next to it in when we bolt it down, but it does just 2 bolts and it pulls off, and it doesn't affect the worm drive because that's held in with the thrust bearing assembly, so it doesn't, and the front rotating bearing, so it doesn't go anywhere. You can pull it off and replace the motor if it dies. Hopefully it's a good motor. So I'm just going to get this assembled, and then we'll come back. That basically bolts on there with a couple of bolts. This goes in here like that with 3 bolts, and then these 2 pieces here, they go like that, and I held in position with the original stainless clip that held the rubber piece in. Unfortunately, I had to make this very slightly bigger in diameter where that bottom lip is than the original, because the plastic moulded cover was sculpted in and was reduced, because I think the pivot is slightly off centre in relation to where this goes. That goes in the same place, so I've had to make this a bit bigger to cover any indiscretions there in centralisation, but it seems to work fine, so we'll pop that on. I'll get this bolted up, and then we'll get under the block and tackle, and I'm going to get the first bit of the boom back on. We'll then start cleaning up all those slider pieces. and it's just going to be a trial and error. Use the old ones as a guide. I don't want to take any more material off than I need, because obviously it'll wear off over time. Hopefully they've supplied me the right material. I've only gone with what I was recommended for this kind of product, or a bit of equipment. I had plenty of it. Literally, I bought a metre long piece of it, 100mm wide, and they were supposed to trim it down to 60mm wide so I could then chop it up, but it didn't. So it's a metre long by 100mm wide, and I had to then chop the pieces off and make them the right dimensions, and I've got 90% of it left, so I've got plenty of material to make spares, and I just set up on the mill and drilled and counterbored the holes for the little inserts. So right, let's get this screwed down, and then we can go from there. Now I've used all stainless steel screws and bolts simply because they shouldn't then rust into the mild steel, and we should be able to get it all to pieces and get amongst it if we need to in the future. That's the theory anyway. Now I've used Tek screws because that's what I had to screw these two halves together. I might see if I can find some ordinary self-tappers. I cut them off because they were a bit long initially, and it all seems to work fine, as best as you can tell assembling it dry like this. When we get it going we will find out. I don't see why it should be a problem, I really don't. Being this is only 1.2mm thick, I either had to weld a nut on the underneath, do a nut and a bolt, or do it this way, and I thought I'd do it this way because I had them. Alright, need a socket. And just nip that up. I've also tried to keep all of the nuts and bolts similar, the same size, so I don't need 25 different spanners just to get it apart. Right. That one. I just need to fish my Jubilee out of there. That one goes on there like that. And this is how the rubber bit was when it was on here before. It's just to stop the rain getting in. I mean, this truck's never left outside in the rain. It's only outside in the rain if it's actually working. It's kept inside, so it's not like this is just going to be drowned in water continuously. That literally sat on there like that. This is what I could do with an assistant, but I don't have one, so I wonder if that would work better. Now that goes like that, and I'd like this to sit a little bit lower, and hence I'd like to use something different than Tek screws, so the heads are slightly lower, but for now that will stop the water going in, and we'll be fine. You can always refine things at a later date. I'll just leave that there for now. I had this all fitting really nice the other day. That is it. That's how it was before, with just a bit of rubber over the top. So I'm now going to get moved around and get under the block and tackle, and we'll get the first bit of the boom back in. That pin went in lovely, so I have checked it all fits, so this should go in a tree, because it's the first time I've actually assembled it. I've checked the pins go through individually. This all went together a treat. Basically, I'll bring this over here. They're both the same idea. You've got two pads on the rear, so that obviously as it slides, it sets on the top at the rear, so it doesn't drag against the metal on metal. And then you've got two at the front, and I'll bring you a bit closer so you can see what I'm doing. But basically it's pretty straightforward. Once I get this in, I'll have to support it with the engine transmission jack, so I'm going to take the strop off and put the top ram back on. It basically sits in there like that. I'll bring you in a bit closer, you'll be able to see what I'm doing. Something like that. Hopefully you'll be able to see. And then, whoops, these little pads are exactly the same, and they locate in a recess in here. And you just slide them in. He says, famous last words. Hit screwdriver, hook it into position. That one in, loosely put the bolt in. Same the other side. These pads, original ones, weren't really warm because obviously this is a manual slide piece, and it's not going in and out like the hydraulic one. This one has actually gone in line. Get in there. Like that. Nip that up. Now you're going to ask, what stops that falling out? Going right out the end that way and then falling out. Well, it's a little tiny bit of angle iron. They both use the same thing. Which is that piece. Bring it over, things it. All it is a bit of angle. There's two holes in it, and there's two countersunk screws that go in, in that bit, that hold it in place. And I've decided to use stainless torque-headed rather than posi drives as it was, because it's just a bit easier to get out. To be fair, all bar one came out. When I took it to pieces, only one I had to drill out, so considering the age of it, that's pretty good, I thought. I'll find that one in a minute. But you're not really going to be able to see much about what I'm doing up here. Is it literally, there's a screw. It sits up in here, on that one there, and it literally just slides in. Famous last words. I'll just put a longer bolt in it so I can actually sort of fish it out and pull it up. Again, I'm using stainless steel screws, but I'm putting a bit of copper slip on anyway. I don't want to have to drill these out if I ever have to go back in here again. What's that one? Take that out. Snip them up. That is it. That's what stops it shooting out the end. Now this is rigged up to take a ram to make this bit hydraulic, but it never came with one. It's obviously an option. It doesn't really matter. So right, next job is to hold this up with the transmission jack, so I'm going to take the strop off and put the top ram in. I have repaired all the worn holes on here as well, welded them all up and reshaped them so they don't rattle around, and with new pins it should be pretty good now. So I'll just get me a transmission jack and we'll get that in position. Right, let's hope I don't drop this on my noggin. Too bad, this one. And it's very straightforward fitting. This end what is it? Goes through there like that, and that sits in there, and I have a bolt to go in there. And that literally nips that in, and that needs to be pulled out. I have had to let all the oil out of this because the pin was seized in here. So in order to get some heat on it, to get it out, I had to open the pipes on the valve, on the ram rather, and slowly let it come out and let the air go in. Not a lot I could do about that, I'm afraid. It just so it'll probably should bleed itself out all right when we put it back together. And that is it. So I now need to pull that ram back out. Now, for some reason, my camera has decided to stop recording all on its own again. I think I'm going to have to get another one. That's very old. I realised that all I had to do is slide this back and this will all go together. It does go all the way in. This is a stainless steel pin I made, and I may have made this greasable because I decided to get a lot of heat to get this apart and pull the ram out so I didn't damage the ram. So the next job is to put the bottom pin in with the main lift ram in, and then lower this down and put the top pin in. So we'll have a go at that. Right, let's give this a go. Yep. I think I said in previous bits of the video that there I'm sure is an electrical switch to set a certain pressure, so when you overload the main ram by having too much weight hanging out, it shuts off the oil, so you've got to boom in before it works again. So I need to look at that, but that can be dealt with on there, I think. I'm not too worried about it right now. Right, so extra pair of hands would be really nice. I know this is all greasable, but just to make my life a bit easier, I'll put a bit of oil on it. So the other one fell in, so let's hopefully this one will do the same. Where is the hell? can't see where the hole is. It should go in. Where is it? Can't see nothing. Alley up. There we go. All right, let's put a clip on that one. What do I do with my circuit pliers? There we go. Make sure the grease nipples are on the outside. Right, that's that bit. Right, lower it down and put the top one in. He says, hopefully. I better put a pin in there to stop that shooting forward. Because obviously the manual side of it is, can just slide out. Right, that now can't come out. That isn't the ideal place to have that strop, but it's where we are, so. Right, that's somewhere there. Of course, there's no oil in that, so that ram's going to want to shoot out as well. That doesn't look far out. Let's try it. Stupid boy, I should have done the pipes up, shouldn't I? Oh well. We'll resolve that in a minute. Oops. Yeah, I'm going to have to get hold of that, I think, to get that where I want it. Yeah, I'd put a strap, just a like a ratchet strap to hold that together, because obviously this ram's full of air now because we had to drain the oil out, as I said earlier, so we could heat the end up to hold it all together as it wants to slide apart, and that pin fell in once I got that done. For some unknown reason my camera is still messing about, I have no idea. So we're at the point where we've done all the mechanical side of it. It's now sort out the hydraulics. I've got to test the pump. If the pump's no good, I need to order a pump, and I need to order valve chest and what they call a monoblock with 3 levers on it. I did look in to doing the wireless remote control, which is what I wanted to do. You can either have a Chinese built, you can buy them on Evil Bay, or from Alibaba, which is a progressional servo system which operates a manual valve block, normally has levers. They're 1,500 quid or 600 quid, depending where you get them from, but obviously no backup when it goes wrong, and it will, because everything goes wrong at some point. Or you can buy proper proportional valve, radio valve systems, eye-watering amount of money, and for me, it's just not viable to do. So we're going to have to go with the old just manual levers, and it's just handy to be at the end when you're hooking on with the remote as you're lifting, sort of thing, because sometimes you need 9-foot arms, you know. But that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to call this it for this video. I'm going to then sort out the hydraulic pump in the next video. We'll test it, and if it's no good, I've got test equipment. I bought a load of pressure testing gauges. We'll order a new one, and I'll order all the pipes and stuff, and we'll get it going in the next video. We'll plumb it up. I'll work out what length pipes I need to get it on the transit, and we'll get it going. So we'll call that it for now on this bit, and so I'll say thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.